Well, greetings, everyone, and welcome once again to another Friday session of the Diamond Factory. As you know, we are all about helping the disenfranchised and those uh, that need help transitioning back into society. We try to show examples of people that we can work with and different occupations that we can turn to. Some if just not to relieve the stressful situation of not maybe having a home, not being able to get that job. But tonight we are very honored to have a educator in the building, Dr. John Maesca. And let's get our little commercial stuff out of the way. As you can see, we are the Diamond Factory, courtesy of James E. King III, who is me. You can go on YouTube. You can subscribe and donate to our YouTube channel on our Cash App, $ JE King 3. And with that, let's get on with the show. Dr. Maresca, how are you doing tonight?
Good. How are you?
I am doing fine out here, enjoying this California weather. They tell us for the next 10 days it's supposed to be sunny and bright. Just what I moved out here for from Pittsburgh. So,
Well, it's sunny and too bright here. It was 96 today with that humidity. You probably don't miss.
no, no. I'm not that far from the ocean. I do get an ocean breeze. I'm not fortunate enough to be able to get beachfront property, but I'm close to downtown, and downtown is pretty good.
Yeah, it's nice. San Diego's a beautiful city.
Yes, it is. I moved out here, and people say, well, are you going to move again? Well, where? I mean, where even anywhere else is an island. I mean, so I'm quite content to be here.
Yeah, that's about as nice as it gets. San Diego's as nice as it gets.
But yes, I mean, you know, Christmas in San Diego is, I don't miss Christmas in Pittsburgh. I'll put it that way.
When I was a little kid, all I remember was all the rich movie stars when they retire, they go to Palm Springs. So no matter what I do, I don't care what. When it's time to retire for good, I'm going to Palm Springs. That was the goal since I was around 5.
Well, Palm Springs is a desert, but it's really nice out there, though. I've been out there a couple of times.
Yeah.
Palm Springs. I kind of think of it like Florida. Like I kind of like the mixture here in San Diego. You can go right out to the beach. I mean, the beach is anywhere you go. It's less than 10 minutes away. And San Diego Airport International. You can go anywhere you want to go. So, there are a lot of advantages out here. I really like it. My little brother lives in LA. That's only about 100 miles away. So, I can still keep in touch with family. So, tell us a little bit about your educational background and how you shaped your career in education and beyond.
It's funny. I played sports and boxed my whole life. So I started boxing when I was 10, and I played football and ran track in high school and college. Then I coached both on the high school level and college level, and now I'm actually an official, high school official for both of those sports as well. But and boxing I always did the whole time. Like you do it in the summers, or I would do it once I was done with college. I competed again. But the funny thing too, like when I started boxing, the story, everyone gets a kick out of the story. My favorite fighter of all time is probably Sugar Ray Leonard. And he lost to Roberto Duran. I'm listening. And back then, don't forget, I'm a 10-year-old kid. It's 1980. I'm listening on the radio, and it's a Friday night, not a Saturday. And he loses the decision to Duran of Montreal. So I tell my father, I'm signing up for boxing tomorrow. I don't tell anybody my motivation. We get there, and I meet the guy who would end up being my coach for the next 25 years, Don Lee. He's in Neptune, New Jersey at the PAL at the time. He ended up with his own gym. So we go there, And I'm like, all right, what is it? Like someone picking on you in school? What's the story? Why you just love boxing? No, I got to get revenge. And they said, oh, well, what's the deal? Like, what is someone bothering? I'm like, no, I want to beat up Roberto Duran for what he did yesterday. So the funny thing is, the guys in the room, I'm thinking they're looking at each other like we got a problem here. I'm thinking they're going to say this kid is nuts, but he said by the time you're ready for Duran, he's going to be way too old. And I knew right then and there I belonged in that place. So I started. That was my motivation until I was about 15.
uh, uh, true tellers. Huh? So
And Leonard got his revenge for himself in the rematch, so I wasn't as motivated for that. But once I started doing it, boxing's addictive, and you love it, and that's what basically did it.
well, uh, I have watched a lot of boxing. My family was involved in boxing in Detroit back in the day. As a matter of fact, I still have a nephew that kind of promotes things out here on the West Coast. I believe he's in Vegas now. But it was very interesting that you mentioned boxing uh, because part of the reason why I'm on the podcast today or any podcast is because of the late great Emmanuel Stewart. And as Emmanuel was like a lot of those trainers. All you would have to do is start the conversation off, and then you could just sit back and listen for the next 2 or 3 hours. You know, just a nod of the head, and yes, and. But so, how did you get in? I know you mentioned that you wanted to originally get into boxing because of your uh, wanting revenge, but what made you stick with it
It,
after you got to a certain level? Like you say, I was looking at you. You're still coaching, right?
yep, I do that. Pretty much, I'd never really been away from boxing the whole time. I basically I've coached. I've owned 7 gyms through the years in different parts. I had a couple school programs in California, and then in New Jersey I had one. The last of them got shuttered during COVID. I couldn't boxing gyms. You're not there to make any kind of money, and the rules were so weird for boxing gyms. We had to follow the youth sports. We had to follow the gym, and we had to follow like the just the regular things for the COVID thing. So how are you going to have a boxing gym 6 feet apart from each other, wiping down? It doesn't work. So I stuck it out as long as I could, but I like the lease expired in the middle of COVID. It's like, I can't renew this. So that was the last one I had. And then after that, during COVID, once things lessened up in New Jersey a little bit, I started working with some of the kids, just going to the park, doing that. And sometimes I'd have 100 kids out there with me because there was nothing else going on. Um, and then you're just trying to keep the kids out of trouble. So, and then a boxing gym, it's usually the choice isn't Harvard, Yale, or it's usually you're there because you're staying out of trouble, and and that's a good thing. I don't. I'll be quite honest with you. You go to a boxing gym, I have more trust for the people in a boxing gym than I would have in probably most of the jobs I've ever had with educated people, just because you're gonna you're there no matter what you do in life, it's the people around you that make you succeed or not. No matter, you obviously you try your best and you have to do, but if you're not happy or you don't like what you're doing or you don't like the people you're around, it's never going to work. And I'll tell you a great story with that about having to be in a situation where you can actually prosper. And in Carteret, we had a guy, Keith Hughes. He was a great basketball player. And when I was in high school, and then after high school, he got a scholarship to Syracuse. So I see him at a local fast food place I would always eat at. I go in there one day. He's home from there. I'm finishing up high school, and he's like, so he tells me I can't go back there. I hate it. I'm like, you're at Syracuse. You have Jim Boeheim. He's like, I hate it. I don't know what to tell you. And he transferred to Rutgers. He became the Atlantic 10 Conference Player of the Year. They went to the NCAA tournament. He got drafted in the second round by the Rockets. Then he got traded to the local Nets. He was the last cut in camp. He did a great thing for himself. He played overseas. If he would have stayed at Syracuse, he probably has been one of those guys who finished out their time. So that I never forgot that conversation with him. You have to like where you are. I don't care who you are. If you hate, if you can't get a, if you think of any successful thing in your whole life or any place you really like going, it's because of the people that were there. The walls in the building had nothing to do with it. It's the people that were there that made it special for you. And I always think of what he said. And if I'm not happy, most people will stick with things way too long. And I'm not saying you quit and move. I'm just saying only you know what makes you happy, where you're going to be the best you could possibly be. And you put yourself in that position and you'll always succeed. You will, and I'm sure you could think of times in your life there were just great situations. Like I used to go, and it's funny, I used to tell people this. And have you ever been? You're in San Diego. You ever go to the boxing gyms in California?
Oh yeah, yeah.
You ever been to Grandpa's boxing gym in Westminster?
No,
So
usually out here, I mean, I go down to the House of Boxing, and there's a few others. Canelo trains at the House of Boxing.
yeah.
So you go there, and there's a few local spots up here, and as a matter of fact, Floyd Mayweather just opened up a gym out here too.
Yeah, that's right. I've been, but the point is this, like it was just the right situation at the right time. I would rather go to that gym. I went every day and spend the whole day there because I'd rather go there than go to like on a vacation to France. It's just where you belong, and you know where you belong. You know where you're happy. Everyone in there, you stayed in touch with these people, and you could think back, like I said, if you look back in the times of your life, like things you were involved in. I loved my high school football team. Like like the players, I'm still in touch with them. I love those coaches. I love going to Grandpa's boxing gym. I was an assistant principal in Inglewood, California. It was just a good fit. I loved it. And then, you don't know what it is. I've been to other places. It didn't work out as well, but it's not that people are bad people. They just weren't the right people for me to be around, or I wasn't comfortable with them. We had nothing in common, or whatever the case is. But, building a rapport with people. And then you mentioned before how you can help these people get back into society. I think the relationships they build, you can't do anything on your own. Nobody in this world ever went from nothing to become real successful on their own. So, I would hope that, the people, the first thing they need to do is look at the people around them. And if their own family and friends don't want to help them, they need better friends and family, because that's part of the problem in itself. I'm sure a good person sees a family member, a good friend struggling. They're not going to let them struggle. They're going to do what they can do to try to fix it. And then even say you have people who can't get jobs, like you said, there's state programs. You go that route with it, but you just need the right people pushing for you. We do know in the world, people go through the motions all the time. They say they're going to help, they're going to do this, they're going to do that. We can't hold a criminal record against you. Yeah, but they don't say they don't hire them for every other reason.
Yeah,
They don't tell you the truth why they didn't hire him. And anybody with an IQ over 80 could figure out why, but there's nothing you can do about it. And that's just the way it goes. And you watch this, you sit back and like, this is a fraud. The whole thing's a big fraud. So I think the first step of that is to get the right people who actually want to help people in the loop, with an organization who helps find the people jobs who need them, get the homeless people everything they need, find the right people that actually want to help them and work closer with them, because you're just wasting your time going to people, oh yeah, we want to help.
Yeah.
And then the doors close and they leave. It's like, no matter what, don't give that guy a job.
Yeah.
And why waste everyone's time? That's part of the problem, I think. And that's the relationships you build. Just even say, for example, I was in a position where I was helping guys get jobs that are homeless. I would go to the people that are my friends that I can count on, that will help me out. I'm not going to go to complete strangers who are going to lie about the things we just said. It makes no sense, and it's wasting everyone's time.
Right. Well, one of the organizations that we want to work with out here is an organization that works with people that want to be cooks. And what they do, they get a job for you. And if you can keep that job for 90 days, then they'll put you in a culinary program. But you have to make that, they have to see that 90-day commitment first. And like you said, a lot of these programs, if there's, 6 beds, then they only want to fill 4. They want to keep 2 open. But that's another story.
Yeah.
But anyway, what motivated you to pursue your educational doctorate? in educational leadership at Argosy University.
It was I'll tell you how I ended up. So I was at a Giants football game one time on a Sunday night, and there's two guys in front of me wearing suits with briefcases. So I'm eavesdropping on their conversation because they just look like they know what they're doing. So I'm listening, and one guy says to the other, "I'm going to buy a bunch of California real estate. It's about to explode." So that's a Sunday night game. On Tuesday, I dragged my father out to California, and I tried to buy a bunch of property. I ended up with one condo in Anaheim. And it didn't make me rich, but what it did was I was teaching at the time. It gave me a summer vacation spot. And when I was out there, I met a few people that were educators that were getting their doctorate in the program. And once again, it goes back to the same thing we talked, relationships. I knew people in the program. I'm comfortable. Wow, that sounds good. And it gives me more motivation to do it. So I joined it because of that. But also, I mean, you want to know what you're doing in your field. My field's education. I want to be as knowledgeable and be able to help as many people as possible. And by furthering my own education, I can help others. And that was pretty much the motivation. And it didn't hurt that my district paid $5,000 more if you had a doctorate. So that didn't hurt either. And they paid half tuition.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. Win-win.
And then the other thing too was that in New Jersey at the time, you had to get so many hours of, you had to do so many hours of continuing education to keep your certificate. So I had to do it anyway. And rather than just take random courses or whatever, I just figured I might as well turn it into something. So I ended up getting my doctorate, and I'm proud of it, But there, and it was just, par for the course, just to keep growing. You want to maximize your own potential. Just, you want to get to the highest level you can get at whatever you want to do, no matter what it is. And that was pretty much the motivation.
Now, I want to ask you a little bit about your thesis at Keene University.
Right where you used to live, the Cane's probably 3 minutes from where you were in Newark, right?
Yeah, right there. I'm sure they moved the Rutgers campus that was pretty close to there too.
No, Rutgers campus is there. Rutgers Newark is there. Yeah,
okay.
Prospering. Yeah.
Okay.
And then I actually talk about Kane. I went to years later. He's the president. I went to high school with the head basketball coach, but also the president of Kane. I went to high school with. He was actually the commissioner of education for a while, Lamont Repillette, and Dave Turco's the basketball coach now. But I know both of those guys since basically childhood. So Kane, you'd be amazed at Kane. I told you before we came on, I'm a high school football referee, and I did a high school game there. They had to use the field. You would be shocked at the difference in Kane that Lamont Repillette has brought to that place. But, it was always a good school. And generally in New Jersey, if you live in this area, Kane is well respected. That's how you get your master's at Kane. It's a good place to go. But so my thesis was on a reward system. And the study was basically women in a prison was one of the main focus groups of it. It's funny. That study was so long ago, but I remember it well. And I just think about it. And you have mentioned the program with those cooks. The guys, if they last 90 days, they get to go to culinary school. So the whole thing was with the reward system, they would offer. It's funny because these were prisoners, female prisoners in a Texas jail, and they would give them ice cream if they basically did their work. They went to school while they were in prison, and the results were amazing. Like, so basically all it took was to give them ice cream cones every time they did a course. And it worked. And then eventually the good thing was they didn't even need the ice cream cone anymore. It became they didn't even need the outside reward anymore. They were motivated by their own self to do the work. And then they said, well, the ice cream program is going to end in 3 weeks. And they didn't drop off at all in attendance with the women still continue to go to school because the motivation went from outward to they motivated themselves and, things like that. So with the 90-day thing with the people you're talking about, I think they need a little motivation in the beginning. We want those people to succeed, no matter how you look at it. You want them to make it. Unless you're a terrible human being, we all should want everyone to do better for themselves. And, so maybe they need to look at something like that. I would love to know what the success rate is of that program and how many people actually make it to the 90 days to get there, because that needs adjusting. If it's not 100%, they better find a way to make it 100%, because that's life-changing for those folks.
Yeah. Right now, I believe they're right around 90%.
That's a nice number.
So,
yeah, that's a nice number.
But we've made so many different advancements in technology that even a simple entry level cook's position now, you have to have a lot of qualities that you didn't have when I was coming up. Basically, if you could turn on the stove and flip the food when it was halfway done, you were good. But nowadays, you have all gastro electron, what do they call it? Where they use liquid nitrogen to make certain foods. I mean, different shapes and different designs. It's a long way from chicken parm and a plate of spaghetti. So
Yeah.
yeah. So uh, when you describe your connection with boxing, how do you connect your boxing training to real world situations to improve your students' self esteem and conditioning?
I mean, boxing to me is the hardest thing on this earth you could do if you do it right. Because I mean, if you're not in the right shape, you're not focused and everything else, you will get beat up, clear and simple, in plain terms. So you want to be the best you could be. And the funniest thing in the world, I truly like. I'm 54 now. I'm really too old to be doing it, but I'll find some of the pros that'll work with me. I need to spar. Like that's the thing. There's nothing more fun in the whole world. I'm obviously too old to compete. I could compete in the Masters, but that
Call
doesn't mean
Scully.
that's
Call Scully. He'll be
well,
glad to.
on his birthday every year he spars I think 10 or 12 rounds.
Yeah.
Scully's a little, he's too much better than me though. Like I was a decent amateur fighter. He was a high level pro, and Scully
Yeah.
don't know how to work. Scully will beat me up probably, and I don't want,
No,
but
I think Scully, is at this point in his life where I mean, Scully's always been about teaching. He's never been about overpowering.
and
So,
the things he does for the old boxers is incredible. I'm sure you know about everything he does for those guys.
oh man, yeah, and he gives the reunions every year. I mean, if you want to talk about a guy that knows boxing through and through, Scully can tell you the guy that he fought when he was 16 years old, and in the Garden State finals. Or
He's still got his phone number, and he talked to him last Thursday.
yeah, yeah,
But yeah, no, no, I don't know anybody who loves. Well, he loves amateur boxing more than pro boxing. He loves pro boxing, but he absolutely. It's funny too because Paul Banky thought he had Paul Banky,
yes.
world champion. Okay, so Paul Banky, have you read his book? If you read the book, I'm in the book. I got him the book deal, and I was his manager, but he used to fire me all the time just to piss me off. He would literally tell me I'm fired or send me a text. But anyway, he thought he had us all stumped with a question, and he gave us a name for a boxer on the 1976 Olympic team. And I'm like, I don't have no idea who that even is. And Scully's like, you didn't think I wouldn't know, right? It was the only white guy on the team. So, and it was like, I don't know anybody else who ever got that trivia question right in the history of the world. And John Scully's like, you didn't think I wouldn't know, did you? I'm like, I didn't think we were going to know this one. And he immediately said exactly what it was. But I don't know anybody. If there was like an encyclopedia, literally, or a record book, and Scully said it was wrong, I would have to believe it was wrong because he knows exactly what he's talking about with all that stuff. But and he loves the pro game, but he just really appreciates the amateurs more. And I think that I can understand why, because I see it like he does. Like it's out of love in that, and especially what pro boxing has become. At this point, you got to get Jake Paul making more money than like guys who've been world champions for 5 years. So it's nothing about skill at this point, and it's more about how many followers on Instagram and this and that. And if you can make a promoter money, they don't care how good or bad you are. It's about you can make if someone can make me rich, I'm listening. If they and as a manager myself, I've had guys that just they weren't going to sell seats. We couldn't get a break. It's impossible. And I've had, and I won't name names, but I've had other guys that weren't as good as some of the guys that could have been great that got all the opportunity in the world because they had 200,000 Instagram followers and they could sell some tickets. And that's unfortunate, but it's a different game. It's not like there's fights we see now that are pay-per-views that would have been the lead-in bout, like it would have been a Tuesday Night Fights main event or like the lead-in bout on a Boxing After Dark.
There are fights now that are the main event that probably couldn't make it on Friday night fights. I mean, come on, we could watch Sugar Ray Robinson. I mean, the real Sugar Ray Robinson. I mean, I've watched those fights with Carmen Basilio. I mean, so I don't, I, I don't think that the boxers today have the same type of incentive that
No.
the old guys used to have.
And it's a different situation. It's watered down. Like it doesn't take anything. You can then you had to be great. You wouldn't see a guy on TV unless he was great. Now he just has to be popular.
Yes.
You watch Usyk Fury was a good fight. It was good. It was exciting. Watch Holmes and Norton. That's a real fight.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's not. And I don't care what you want to tell me. That's on 3 levels up. And either of those guys would have beat both of these guys on the same night. And I'm not taking away from these guys, and it's not their fault, but they're rushed, and it's a different boxing's not the same thing it used to be. 25 fights. Devin Haney and Ryan Garcia, that was an exciting fight, but I'm telling you now, those guys would be nothing more than prospects in the 70s, 80s, or 90s because they'd be just be cracking the top 10. Now they're multiple time world champions.
Yeah. 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 I mean,
and there's too many titles. And Scully hates that more than anybody. You'll get him.
Yes.
You want to really get him started, but I mean,
the diamond belt, the silver belt, the rust belt, the blue belt, the green belt. I mean, it's.
But that's what boxing is. You can't fault the fighter. You really can't fault the fighter for he's got to get what he can get. And the funny thing, like you can win one of those. Your family and friends have no clue. You're not going to be in Ring Magazine. You're not going to be in Box Rec #1, but they truly believe you've hit the top of the sport. And you're not fooling them per se. It is what it is nowadays. It's
right.
Right. But it's rare that there's one world champion. It just doesn't happen like that,
No, you actually have too many belts for there to be one champion. I think what was the fight we had just recently? One guy had 3 belts and the other only had 1. But
Fury Usyk was that, and then as soon as Usyk won all the belts, they basically stripped him of one.
Yeah,
and now Daniel Dubois is going to fight AJ for the other one, so now they're anyway.
Yeah. So yeah.
What's the sense? So now you're watering down your own title. You got a guy that's like the second. You're basically. I would leave it on the guy who's the best heavyweight in the world. I wouldn't take it off of him. And now you gave it to Daniel Dubois of all people, who got beat by Joe Joyce, who he's a decent fighter,
But he's not. But he's not a world champion. I mean,
he's probably not. If you really, 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 really looked at it, and we did rankings, he's not in the top 5. He probably wouldn't crack the top 10.
Probably more like the top 15, maybe.
Yeah, and he lost to Joe Joyce already, who got beat up twice by the big Chinese guy from And it's like, all right, what is it? Like you're so far removed from the top, and it's like that guy got a world championship. So I don't know how you want to look at that, but that just where the promoters can use the political game to basically maneuver one of their fighters into Eddie Hearn has probably he's licking his chops because he can now make AJ a world champion again.
Yeah.
And you sell a lot more tickets when you got a title belt in there.
And I mean, like he has a country behind him and the whole 9 yards. But let me see here. Okay, now kind of keeping on that same vein that you're talking about, because you successfully owned and operated multiple businesses, including restaurants, gyms, tutoring centers, I see consulting firms. What skills and experiences have been crucial to your success as an entrepreneur?
I cannot stress enough, once again, in every one of those situations, I had a partner I could trust who knew what he was doing. So once again, it falls back on the relationships. The Chinese restaurant's the most ridiculous story ever. I had come back to New Jersey. I was an administrator in Englewood. I was eating lunch in a Chinese restaurant because I loved the chicken with broccoli and the wonton soup. So I would go there almost every day and eat it. So they hadn't seen me in a while. I came back to New Jersey, Unfortunately, I had a bunch of sick family members, and I didn't want to have regrets later on down the line. They all eventually passed away, but I didn't have. So then he called me up, said, "Hey, what are you going to do when you come back?" I'm like, "I don't know. I had left my job as an administrator, but he said, "Hey, I'm really thinking of opening another restaurant, and you want to partner up with me?" So once again, it wasn't anything I thought of. I was asked to do something with somebody. And normally a restaurant, you have to be crazy to open a restaurant. We know that that's impossible. And what I ended up doing, the funny thing about it is, so I said, you know what? I talked to some people. And I didn't know the first thing about a restaurant, but he had run a bunch of successful ones. He has one right now on the Sunset Strip. Next time you're in Hollywood, make sure you go Hunan Cafe. Tell him I sent you there. It's the best chicken with broccoli I ever had. He's from Queens originally, so it's more what you're used to. It's not like the true Chinese food what you're getting out there now. It's like the New York version of Chinese food mixed with that. So
what was the name of that again?
Hunan Cafe. It's right on Sunset Boulevard.
Okay.
But it's great. And then so, we basically looked for a spot. We found one in Fullerton, California. And the funniest thing was the kitchen was a bunch of boxers they were cooking. And then actually the first server I hired, she didn't even ask for a job. Going back, it was at Grandpa's gym. Lorraine Villalobos was there. She had just graduated high school. She was a good fighter. She actually fought for the world title 3 times, once in Barclays Center, once at the StubHub Center, and another time. But the funny thing was, I told her, like, Lorraine, why don't you just come get a job over here? And she did. So we didn't even think, no thought went into it. And I had a bunch of boxers working the place. We did really, really well. The problem was just that a restaurant is tough, and it was tough to be there all the time for me. I was busy with some other stuff. So we operated for about a year, and then we ended up selling it. But, once again, you tie it in. You need good people to help. If you're going to think you're going to run a business by yourself, you have to be there every minute of every hour of every day, or it's going to fail. Because no one's going to care about a business like you do. So first of all, you better find something you love doing that you're passionate about and get good people to help you with it. And then once again, we were talking about before, the people I had, I'm, willing to bet most of those guys cooking in the kitchen, they probably wouldn't get a job in many other places with, some of the past they had, but I knew them, liked them, and trusted them. And it goes back to relationships. And anything, I look back at any of my successes, I could give credit to someone that helped me get through it, that motivated me or was there when you just have to vent or whatever. And I think that's the big thing people forget. Everyone thinks they do things by themselves. They just don't. It doesn't work that way.
I did. It finally came back to me again. Shout out to Melissa Smith at Gleason's Gym, and the work that she does for women's boxing. I think this was her 3rd book that she just put out on the history of women's boxing.
And women's boxing has never looked better than.
Oh my goodness!
The women are the one that actually still fight and earn their title fights.
Yes. The big discussion. We have had one bout, I believe, where the women are boxing the 3-minute rounds, but I think that's, the excuse that they're using not to really pay these women. But as you say, the women's boxing has made, it's really made great strides in especially the last 3 to 5 years.
And then the other side of it, we're complaining about the men who are popular, that are basically, they're making money just because they're popular. The women are popular, but the popular women on Instagram, they can actually fight.
Yes,
so, that's the difference. And they're making way more money than they've ever made. They're still not getting paid what the men get, and that's a whole other argument for another day. Yeah. But it has absolutely grown in leaps and bounds, and I'm happy for them. They deserve it. You can't. No one can convince me otherwise of that.
Yeah, and I'm especially, like you said. I mean, I think your area has really profited from what we had. We had 2 women's boxing that were in the main room at the Madison Square Garden.
Serrano and Katie Taylor. And I'm gonna tell you right now, like growing up, in New Jersey, that was the arena I went to growing up. I had been there for everything. I had seen thousands of sporting events. 100% without hesitation. The second, the most I ever saw the place, like the loudest with the most excitement ever, I was there when Hulk Hogan beat the Iron Sheik for the WWF title. And that thing, I thought nothing could be louder. It was way louder for Katie Taylor and Amanda Serrano. They absolutely won the crowd over, and that was incredible what they did that night. And I'm telling you, like the fight lived up to all the hype. And
Oh,
those
most
two
yeah.
women really got to take a lot of credit. And then the women will fight anybody. They don't care. Like it's not like the guys. They don't pick and they don't cherry. The women never cherry pick. There's not enough for them to go around. First of all, so they don't have a choice. But
Yeah,
they don't turn. They'll fight anybody.
they don't worry about that. Oh, like the men do.
Nah, it doesn't matter. And,
Yeah.
and none of them should. Absolutely, none of them should worry about the O. You just want to, the best resumes. Look at Tom Brady. He lost Super Bowls. Nobody remembers them. They remember the ones you won, and you got to take chances in life to get anywhere. And you got to do what you got to do to put yourself in a good situation. Women know that. And how many guys do you know that build a record? They're 20-0. They get a fight for $10,000 against a promoter's protected fighter. And even if you win 6 rounds in a 10-round fight, you're losing a fight, 8-2
Right.
on the cards.
Yeah.
So what good did that do anybody? Nothing. You got to take chances in life to get anywhere in life, and that there's no doubt about that.
Yeah. You hold several licenses and certifications, like the professional boxing manager license here in California. You the commission and boxing coach athletic certification from USA Boxing. How do these credentials benefit your career?
The funny thing, and it's weird, boxing, like we just talked about, is weird. Like, guys don't want to get a manager, and a manager's not what he used. You have the connections. I can call any promotion right now and talk to somebody, and I can get guys fights. I've had people fight at all the big promotions. It's not hard. The problem now is the fighters won't take the fights. Way back when, if you got to 12-0, hey, guess what? You won't believe it. You're going to be on Tuesday night fights. You're fighting this guy. He's 14-0, and the fighter would take it as the chance of a lifetime. Now the fighter's going to be like, nah, I'm just going to go to Mexico and fight another guy that's 5-45. And it's different like that. So the license means less and less, and a manager's not what it used to be. It's funny. We just mentioned before Bob King had just passed away. Great boxing background. He actually had ties to Sugar Ray Robinson. I mean, but he told me too, like at one point, maybe 10 years ago, you're no more than a sponsor almost nowadays if you're a boxing manager. It's not like it used to be. And then the worst thing you could do for yourself if you're this is where the license comes into play well. The big promoters do not want to hear 10 different people calling up trying to get a guy fights. They want to deal with one guy they know they can work with that's reliable. The fighter's going to come in on weight. He's not going to fake an injury. He's not going to hold out for more money. Now, I promoted some events myself, and I've had people come in the locker room, some quote unquote B-sides. They look around the room, say, hey, this guy needs my 6 rounds, or he's not going to have enough rounds. He's going to get fined by the state, and say, I'm not fighting unless you give me $4 more thousand. So, the credibility that comes with the license, if you have a legal contract with the fighter, you avoid that kind of nonsense. And if you're a promoter, you want to deal with a fighter that has a real manager that they're not going to pull that kind of crap and all that nonsense. The guy's going to come with his medicals. He's going to do everything. And that helps me in that vein. And as far as the coaching goes, anywhere I've gone, it's funny. Any gym I've walked into before, I've gone to some. I hadn't competed since like the 90s, but just went in there to work out or whatever. And within a month or so, they asked me, hey, you want to coach some kids? Because they can see I know what I'm doing. I take pride in what I do, and and there's guys today, like, I don't know how they think they could teach boxing if they don't know how to do it themselves, but you see it all the time. They're like, some of the trainers are glorified, punch mitt guys. And I'm sure you've seen this. You get a kid. I don't know why. It's more in boxing than anything else. The parents ask you with a straight face after one time, so what do you think? How the hell do I know? What do I think? He can't even stand properly yet. But then those guys who just want to make the $40 an hour to $100 an hour, you got a future champ on your hands here. And who are they going to believe? The guy who says you got a future champ, or the guy who says you're crazy to even think like that? They want to believe the guy that says you got a future champ on your hands.
Yes.
So people who know, ask Scully about that. You want the guy that really knows what the hell he's doing to show your kid how to, and you could get seriously hurt boxing. I mean, I want someone who knows what the hell they're doing teaching me how to box. not some random guy who thought it was like. And
They,
I saw something too the other day about how they had like some media people. It was like a joke that, hey, who covered this fight 10 years ago? And it said, well, it wasn't the people now that are trying to get famous to being boxing writers. They were trying to get famous covering music or another sport 10 years ago. So they don't even like, some of the people involved in boxing aren't passionate about boxing. They see it as a way to become either famous or rich. And I'll tell you right now, I don't know anybody who entered boxing poor that got rich. If you have money, you can make more. Bob Arum didn't come into boxing poor. You know what I'm saying? Like those guys come in rich and they make more money. I don't know one guy that came in a poor guy into the boxing world and left rich.
no, no.
None.
So yeah,
So they picked the wrong sport to try to get rich in, if that's what their goal is.
Now, communication is a reoccurring skill in all your qualifications. How do you believe that effective communication impacts your role in education, coaching, and business management?
So false praise is the worst thing you could do for anybody. You got to be the feedback and anything, and then in coaching and being someone's boss and being someone's friend, you have to be honest. Feedback has to be honest and direct, and you have to give them ways to improve. You just can't be nasty. Oh, you suck at this, you should quit. That's not helping anybody. And you also want to tell them you're doing a great job, because if they don't get any better, it's not their fault, it's yours. So the most important thing with communication is it has to be honest. If it's not honest, it's worthless. And I also teach graduate level college courses about, and I handle people that are going to become principals and stuff like that. And effective communication is part of these courses. And it all falls back on, they'll always say it has to be immediate, it has to be clear, it has to be this. And I'm like, you're forgetting the most important word, honest. And it falls into the whole thing with it. I mean, if I'm doing something wrong, tell me what I'm doing wrong so I can get better at it. Don't just tell me I'm doing a good job. I've been on job interviews and I've literally said in the interview, and I want honest feedback. At the end of the year, you tell me I did a bad job, it's your fault. I might punch you in the face, because it's not right to do that to somebody. You're shortchanging them, not giving them a fair shot at anything. And I can't stop thinking of that program you said. Imagine telling those guys they got a golden opportunity. You're telling them they're doing great, and at the end of the 90th day, by the way, you're not coming back. Well, 2 days ago, you said I was doing great. So honest feedback will keep people on the right path, on the right track, let them get better at things. And that you're doing them an injustice if you're not being honest with them. People don't want to hear it, but I mean, that's the way of the world. I would love to play center field for the Yankees. If I went there tomorrow, you know what's going to happen? They're not going to pat me on the back and say, kid, get a glove. They're going to say, get the hell out of here. We're going to call the cops if you don't leave. And they wouldn't be doing me any favors if they said, yeah, you know what? Let's try you out today. And then the game comes and they don't try me out. You just got to be honest with people and let them know. And they can make adjustments. And if they want something bad enough, they'll get better. They'll use it as motivation. Everybody responds to motivation differently. I like being challenged. I don't want to be patted on the back. And everybody likes to be valued and praised, but I want it to mean something. And I look back, talking again about the relationships through the years, I appreciate the people who are harder on me way more than the people who just patted me on the back. And that's a fact. You might not appreciate it then, but years later, I look back on it, I could have never accomplished the things I accomplished if I didn't have people that were very, very, very hard on me. I could think of the guy I talked about, Don Lee. I met him when I was a 10-year-old at Neptune PAL. He got his own gym in Perth Amboy. That guy never praised me ever, but I appreciate it. And then I had football coaches. I had one, Coach Ken Toth and Coach Bill O'Lear. They motivated me to be the best I could be. And they weren't always nice, but I would model it on them. Their motto was perfect, because look at me, I'm motivated to do anything, get better at things, try my best no matter what I do. If I didn't know these guys, it might be a different story. So, I think that's the big part of communication. And you got to figure out what makes people tick. Like some people you can't be hard on. They don't react to it well. They'll be upset about it. Other people, you motivate them by saying you got to do a little bit better. You're doing good, and you don't want to be mean, and you want to be fair. You don't have to attack somebody and criticize them to the point where anybody would get their feelings hurt. But you need to basically get the best out of those people to make them better. And, I think that will go a long way with the programs you were talking about before with the people in it, you know, motivate them, support them. You like to know this is if I look the people I respect the most, I know they got my back no matter what, and I know they're going to push me no matter what. And that's two great things.
Precisely.
And
Well,
Emmanuel Stewart was exactly that. Look how
uh,
hard he was on guys like Andy Lee and other people. You think he was patting those guys on the back every day? No, but if they were, he would when they deserved it. And like he motivated those guys to be the best they could be. Absolutely. He talked to Tommy Hearns about that. Tommy Hearns
yeah.
would not be nothing without Emmanuel Stewart because of the way he built him up, the way he taught him, the way he nurtured him, and the way he motivated him.
And a lot of people might not realize it, but before Emmanuel passed, he also trained both Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury. So
Yeah.
it's not like his legacy doesn't live on now. If Emmanuel was still here, we might see vast differences in the way their careers have been. But that's another
Do
story.
Eric Kelly?
No,
He's out of the Bronx. He was on a national team. He had an eye injury, so he had to stop boxing. But I was at the Wilder fight with Hellenius, and basically he was leaving on the way out in passing. He won't even remember he said it, but he basically said Deontay Wilder did more with no talent than anybody in the history of boxing. That right hand and his heart won him all those things. You stack him up, and he has nothing else going for him. But I'll tell you what, you got to have if you really don't have the skills, you need some kind of heart. So I like Deontay Wilder more than most people do. People like to criticize him and attack him. He doesn't have this. He doesn't have that. But for some, like I'm more impressed by the fact he doesn't have true boxing skills. It's amazing to me. And then Emmanuel Stewart knows not to make somebody something they're not. He didn't have, he wouldn't
no,
take Tommy Hearns and turn him into Sugar Ray Leonard. He let him be himself. And Emmanuel Stewart made the most out of somebody what they should be. And people overlook that. Look at the different styles and every guy he trained. Andy Lee looked nothing like, someone else.
Look at what he did for Lennox Lewis. I mean,
saved his career, completely saved, and put him on a whole different trajectory where people now, I'm not buying into it no matter what. That think, they want to say it's like Ali, Joe Louis, and then Lennox. It's not. But it's not. He's probably in the bottom of the top 15 or something. But just for the mere fact that they're saying that when Emmanuel Stewart got him, it wasn't going that way. It was definitely not going that route. And Emmanuel figured out because you look back on Lennox Lewis's earlier fights, he was nothing but a big brawler, taking risks he didn't need to take. Look what basically, and he stayed exciting because he was still knocking guys out. But look what Emmanuel Stewart turned him into. He turned him into what he should have been. He knew what you should be, and he turned you into it. He didn't try to change anybody. He took them and molded them into the best they could be. So, and guys don't do that now. I mean, you get these trainers now. They got one. They're teaching them one style. It's theirs, and that ain't gonna work for everybody. It's just not.
Yeah. So, what are some of your future goals or projects in the realms of education, boxing, or business?
So right now, I'm a principal of a private school that it needs some work. The enrollment's really bad, and the private schools are collapsing everywhere. But I think I could do something with it. And I think I don't think there's any problem with the instruction. The teachers work hard. We just need to find some other offerings. If you look back at your own times, like I look at my own education, I think at a football team I was on, the track team I was on, the fun things I did. I don't remember one science I ever took my whole life. Obviously they taught me, but you need to have other offerings. You have to build them socially. So I want to do that. I'm going to have a boxing club next year in my own school. And then I absolutely want to start building something back up with the boxing. I don't really manage anybody right now. I'm pretty picky with who I'll handle in this day and age because, like what we talked about before, I can get you these fights, but you got to be willing to take risks. That's something, and I don't blame them for not taking risks because sometimes you can get rich without taking a risk, but you need some real money behind you to do that. But I would like to. My favorite thing about the boxing is teaching the kids from the day they step into the gym till I would never want to really train a pro, to be honest with you. I'll take them really far into amateurs. That's about as far as I want to go with it. And at that point, I'll take over from a business standpoint and let a guy who actually was a pro boxer train them because it's different. I had 52 amateur bouts. I've been, boxing a long time. I have no idea what it feels like to get hit in the head without headgear with 8-ounce gloves, and I don't want to find out. So let someone teach them, or let someone be in the corner who knows what it feels like to get punched in the head with 8 or 10 ounce gloves without headgear. Who can, if you don't know what it feels like, I don't think you're qualified to actually instruct someone. We don't know. I don't know what that feels like. So you take a guy that knows a little bit better, and his experience that was firsthand goes a long way. I think that's overlooked nowadays. I mean, don't get me wrong. Angelo Dundee wasn't a boxer. He did a great job with Ali and Sugar Ray Leonard. No doubt about that. It's a little different, though. Those guys didn't need to be taught much of anything. You're talking about two of the best raw talents of anything in the world, not just boxers. Like their raw talent for boxing is 100 level. Like it doesn't get any better than those two guys. So he didn't have to do much teaching. He just had to pretty much keep them on the right path, and he was the right guy for them. I think a trainer who tries to make any kind of adjustments to those kind of guys isn't going to work out. So in that kind of case, you might do okay with a guy that doesn't have real great experience in the boxing world. He's more of a motivator or whatever the case is. But generally speaking, you know what I'm saying? I know my limits.
I mean, I've been a paratrooper, and there's no way in the world that unless you've jumped out of a plane before. I mean,
Yeah. How are you going to teach somebody how to do it? You can't.
Yeah, all that stuff about books is good, but sooner or later I got to land. So
yeah, and then nowadays it's not the books, it's the YouTube. They watch some videos, but you're right though. And I don't care what. If I'm gonna fight a boxing match, they force me. It's a new law. You got to fight a boxing match with 8-ounce gloves, no headgear. I'm gonna find a guy in my corner that fought with 8-ounce gloves and no headgear. I'm not gonna get the guy at the gym with the gold chains on. I want a guy who can get me through this.
I'm calling Scully.
Yeah, I'm telling you, I'm calling a guy. I'm calling a guy who knows what the hell he's doing. And it's not to take away. Those other guys make a good living. I'm happy for anybody who can make a living doing what they're doing. But, like I said, from my own preference, I would like somebody with experience in what they're trying to teach me rather than a guy and I don't pretend to be the greatest anything I ever did. I was pretty good at all the sports I competed in. That's about as good as you're going to say, average to pretty good. But I like doing it, and I know what I'm doing. I could teach somebody. And I wouldn't try to be like a basketball coach. I didn't play 1 minute of organized basketball in my life. What would make me think I could be a basketball coach?
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah. I definitely hear you there.
But I know people who will take that job in 2 seconds flat, watch some YouTube videos, and think they're as good as a guy in the NBA.
Oh, of course. It's all about the Benjamins, as they say. But I'm going to have to get you back on here because there's so much more we can talk about, especially when you start talking about boxing and relating it to life and stuff. So I'd like to get you back on the show. But I do have one more question for you. Is there any advice or message that you would like to share with aspiring educators, coaches, or business owners?
I always think back to that time with that conversation I told you with Keith Hughes. You got to be comfortable and happy to do your best. You can stick it out as long as you could. I think anybody, say you're in a job and you come home, I hate my job. You do that for 5 years. That's just stupid. That's being dumb. You want to be in a position where you love what you do and you're happy with the people around you. Like Keith Hughes was on a scholarship to Syracuse. I'm like, he looked like his puppy just died the way he was looking. And I said, well, you know what? He's like, I'm not happy. And I remember the conversation with people are going to think you're crazy because I don't even care. What do you want? So he got the criticism all over the place. He called up his old high school coach. They went to Rutgers. The guy couldn't have been any happier. He knew, follow your gut. Don't overthink things. Try your best and make sure you got 1 or 2 good mentors that can get you through tough times. Because without it, you're going to drive yourself insane. I promise you that. That would be my advice, and do what you love. And just don't quit. Don't ever let anybody decide how far you can go, and don't let anybody discourage you. If you want to do it, you find the right people to help you do it, you'll get it done. That's been my experience. I owned a Chinese restaurant. I don't know the first thing about cooking Chinese food or owning a restaurant, and I managed it because I put the right people around me and I love the food. You know what I'm saying? So, and I loved the people I work with were great and everything else. Like I said, I had a bunch of boxers running the place, and it was wonderful. So you look at it like that. Make opportunities for yourself that you know you could be happy in, and things will always work out a lot better. And it's not nothing against those people you might not get along with in the other places. They're wonderful people, I'm sure. They're just not the people you want to be around. And it doesn't make them any worse than me. They probably say the same thing about me. I hope that guy leaves. We can't stand him. But it's because it's just a bad fit in general. So you find a situation that you fit in. You could be yourself, and you're comfortable. I think that goes a long way in life, in any aspect of life. And like I mentioned, there's just certain things I was involved in my life. I treasure those times. It was the people, the common goal. I like doing the things we were doing, and I think that's the best way to look at it. Like John Scully loves amateur boxing. Anything he could do. Now he's been talking about this book for 25 years. I don't know what the hell the Scully Chronicles. I'm waiting for this book, and every time I haven't seen him in probably 3 or 4 years at this point. But every time, oh, it's coming, it's coming. That book is never coming out. He better figure something out and get that book out. But just like that. John Scully's had a happy life because he loves amateur boxing. He's always in the gym. You'll see him on TV every so often and work with pros. That guy did it right.
He's still working with Benavidez too.
And he works with Beterbiev.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that guy has a happy like I look at people like that who know what they want, go after it, don't care what anybody thinks, and look, and they're happy. He's a happy guy. He helps other people. He appreciates the people. And Keith Hughes made a great life for himself. Unfortunately, he passed away, a couple years ago now. But you know what I'm saying? He knew what he wanted to do when he got done with college. He played overseas. He was the final cut of the Nets. When he got drafted in the second round, he got traded from the Rockets to the Nets. But he managed to map out a career. Other people were like, when he said, "I'm going to leave Syracuse," said he was crazy. If he would have listened to those people, life would have been a lot worse than what it was. And only you know what you feel. So don't listen to nobody else can tell you how you feel.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, that's my feeling on that.
Well, thank you so much for your time this evening. We look forward to talking with you again, I hope.
Most definitely. Just let me know. I love these.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Doctor. And I look forward to talking to you soon. Is there any way that our listeners can get in touch with you if they want some sound advice?
I'm not the president, so my cell number is 732-259-6241. Call it all you want. I'm not that important, and I love giving advice. And then that's pretty much it. You can find me on Facebook under my name, Instagram, Dr. Jam82, and just reach out. I'm friendly, and if I can't tell you nothing about like things I don't know about, but if you want to talk about boxing or education, you call anytime you want.
All right, sir. Thank you very much. You have a great night.
You too.
We'll see you back soon.
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, man. That was a very good conversation with Dr. Maesca. And we look forward to having him back. A lot of good information there as well as good advice. But we do have a second guest tonight, and we had her on Wednesday to talk a little bit about this global race for sustainability. And I thought I would bring her back tonight. And we are going to actually go through and register. We're going to do this step by step and show people how to do it. Well, tell people how to do it. Maybe we will be able to show, but we will definitely tell you how to register and what's going on. So, good evening, and how are you this evening?
Good to see you, James.
All right. So now we had talked earlier today. And as we said Wednesday, we would like the Sports Crib to start a group. I have at least one sponsor that I know of that would be glad to do a $20 sponsorship. So you can kind of take us through the steps on what it takes. So I guess the first thing is, how do we start?
Okay, well, we're so glad that you guys are going to put together a team and join the race. That sounds fantastic. The first thing we're going to do is go to the website that I've got back here. Now, last time I was with you, I was just all in green with the green screen.
Right. Okay.
Can you see the website back behind me now? issnow.earth.
Okay. Yes, I'm gonna go right there now. So it's iss dot now.
Or ISSNOW then dot earth.
Okay. ISS now and then dot.
Uh-huh.
Okay. And then
The planet, Earth.
okay, planet Earth.
And that stands for International Sibling Society now. It's not 1998 anymore when we started. It's now. So we live now, and then it's dot planet, dot earth instead of dot com or dot org. So
Oh, okay. Wait. Okay. So wait a minute. ISS now dot planet.
ISS dot earth.
Oh, okay. Dot Earth.
EARTH.
Okay. Now maybe it'll take us to the right place.
So
Okay.
tell me what you see on the screen. And this is we're about to be on the race roster registration site. And I was just on the phone with Race Roster this afternoon. Race Roster is a platform out of Canada, and they're one of the prominent ones when it comes to these races. And I am telling you what, I am so impressed with Race Roster because they just talked to me on the phone, and I was just calling them for a short question. And we must have been on the phone for an hour. And the way she explained everything to me was really good. So I've got her training in my brain as we talk. So,
Okay. Okay.
so
So
tell me
right,
what you see on the screen.
uh, 2024 global race for sustainability. Run a 5K, 10K, half or full marathon for the country of your choice. Register here.
There you go. So click that register here. You must be at the banner at the top of the page that's kind of
Uh,
red or maroon.
yes,
Yeah,
yes. I'm on top of it. On
yeah.
my left side, it says what are SDGs, and it says I'm on a page that says media kit. So
Okay. All right. So you're actually in our website where we talk about the SDGs and the Sustainable Development Goals. But no matter what page you're on our website, at the very top, there should be a banner that's like red that will
okay,
say 2024 Global Race for Sustainability, register here. And it's this a button that
okay.
says
So
register.
now let's see. On the left side, it says race roster. On
Yes.
the right side, it says contact, sign in, and menu.
Okay, so you've gone off of the International Sibling Society site right here, and you have gone now into race roster territory. So this is the registration platform where you register for the race. So on the side, there'll be a black box with, I think, yellow letters that say register.
Uh, let's see. Well, now do I have to sign in first?
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, so you got that. Yeah, you
Okay,
sign in, you put your email in, and then you come up with the password.
so let me go ahead and do that. What is your email? Uh, that's very easy. Okay. Do you have a race roster password? No, I want to create a password. And then let's see. Uh, we'll use a Google password. I'll never remember all those signs and symbols, but that's all right. That's
What's
why
so
we.
nice is that it's saved in the password manager. I know in mine,
Yeah.
it comes up.
Okay.
And what's
So
so nice about the registration, if you're a runner, you probably already have a race roster account. So
okay.
you'd use your same password for any of the races that you run through
Okay.
race rosters.
So
All
now
right.
I'm on a page that says Welcome to the ISS Society, and then it says Global Race for Sustainability.
Do you see a black box to the side that says has a little area that says register? The
Yes, ma'am.
words register are going to be in yellow, I believe.
Yes, ma'am. I see it. Should I
All right,
press
well,
it?
let's register.
All right. So we press register, and it says loading registration. Okay. Now it says registrant number one. Sub event. Select a sub event. 5K fun run, 10K challenge, half marathon, marathon, and then it says a family fun run. So let's try that one.
That sounds good. So there's a free family fun run, just easy to sign up. I I don't think there's any credit card information or anything with that one.
Uh,
So which is great. And every time if you sign up for the free family fun run, then you're helping us reach our numbers. And we have big, lofty numbers, big goals, just like the sustainable development goals. So every single free, if you anybody hearing your podcast, anybody hearing you seeing your show, go register. Do what James is doing, and just register for that free event. Okay, you
okay.
can control
Now
your own distance.
it says I am competing this form for myself or someone else. So,
Okay, so
so
you're completing the form for yourself. So you click yourself. But I know that when I was on the show last time, you had some other colleagues in different parts of the world. Well, different parts of the country, Maryland and Atlanta, I think.
yeah.
So if you since you are such a pro at registering for races on Race Roster now, you could come back and you could register your pals in Maryland and Atlanta. So you
Okay.
could come back and register them. You can
Okay.
register other people. But
Okay.
you're
So,
working
so,
through
so
the private information now, I think, where you're putting in your name and address or phone number or whatever they ask for. That's just private stuff that you just plug
well,
away.
this one is relatively simple. It asks for your name, your date of birth, your email, and your phone number, country, but it doesn't ask for any type of credit card information or anything, at least not to this point. So I
Okay.
put in my birthday. Let's hope it goes back that far.
And
Let's see.
when you pick the country, there's two different, or there's several times you'll be asked about country in our race because we're the global race for sustainability. So we're in over 190 countries. So, but this one, when you're asked what country you're in, put the country that you live in, country that you're in.
Okay, let's see. It asks for gender. But you can also, let's see, it also has a non binary listing, or if you prefer not to say. So uh, then it
Take your
says,
pick.
and then it says SMS opt in. I agree to receive messages, or I do not want to receive messages. So you can opt in either one there. Uh, it says it's not a condition of your purchase or registration, and you can opt out at any time. So we will go ahead and opt in for the messages. My phone number will be there, let's see.
And as far as I know, we just set this up today when I was talking with the person in Canada with Race Roster. She said, you have these directions that can automatically go out if you want to activate that. And I didn't know that that was an option. I learn new things every day. So we activated that. So you should receive information on how to hook up your uh, app on your phone to the race if you wanted to do that. That's what you'll be receiving when you
Okay,
opt in.
now it comes down here to where it says teams, and it says add a registrant to a team. So do I want to put myself on a team that'll be my team?
All right, now when you scroll down that drop box, what is it saying? Countries or what is it saying?
Right now, it's I'm at where it says questions, and then it says your gender, your SMS opt in, and then it asks you, of course, for your phone number, and then it goes into teams. And
Okay, so the teams area is what I'm talking about. And you know, James, the first time I saw this, my brain did not catch on that that was a question. I didn't get it, totally skipped it. But if you put that, click that circle, and
it
then it
says
will
yes.
activate the drop down box right next to it, and there should be a whole
Okay.
bunch of countries.
Yeah, it says choose your team country, select a team. So uh, our team would be the sports crib, right?
Well, in this area, you're going to be, it's going to be country teams.
Okay,
So
so
you see
we
a lot of country names, right?
yes.
Okay, I'm gonna tell you what, they start with A. I think Afghanistan and maybe Algeria are the first ones. I can't remember, but you know, if you want the United States, you're gonna have to go scroll all the way down.
All the way
But I
down.
tell you what, James, I want to talk with you as you're scrolling down that page, looking at all those countries.
Okay.
There's nothing that says that you have to, you get to run for the country of your choice. So you get to choose. Um, if there's a, you know, in our country, the United States, we can just pretty confidently walk out our door and start running if we wanted to. But that may not be the case in all those countries on that list.
Right.
So if there's a country that you would like to run for, you can choose any country that you want to. Maybe the people in that country might not have the liberties and the safety to be able to run at this time. So choose whatever country you want from that list.
Okay. Okay.
And then the next question after you choose your country and take all the time you need, um, the
It's,
next one I believe is nothing. I think we're ready to hit the next
well, let's see.
green button at the bottom.
By joining a team, I agree that the team captain may be able to see. Okay. Okay. So we would check that
And
box
here's
off
another thing:
too.
if you there are still countries that have are not represented. They're on the list, but we don't have runners that have run for them. So by
Okay.
default, if you're running for a country and you're the first person to sign up, you by default become the captain. So so and then also all the countries organize themselves. So the International Sibling Society or we are not telling teams in other countries what to do. So if you're in another country, you make up your own rules as to how you're going to run and what you're going to do.
Okay, now I'm at a point where it says enter promo code or gift code,
Uh-huh.
and I don't have one of those. So it says either add another registrant or continue.
All right, so just hit the continue button. I bet you it's green, isn't it, at the bottom of
Yes,
the
it
page?
is.
Okay,
Yes,
I
it
love those
is.
green buttons.
Okay.
Use them as much as I can.
Uh, okay.
So that was most of it. You know, that was most of it. Um, so from here, it's pretty. We'll be finished in just a second. What's it saying now?
Let's see. Please read the following document carefully. Global Race for Sustainability. It's a box that says agreements and additional terms for participant number one. That's me.
Okay, and when you scroll through it, is it like in paragraph form?
Yes,
Okay,
and then it says at the bottom, of course, I agree to Global Race for Sustainability.
all right. And James, if you tell me to be quiet, I will not say a word so that you can think. But if you don't tell me, then I'm going to talk.
Well,
um,
go ahead.
this is another thing that's so wonderful about working with Race Roster, something that the International Sibling Society is very thankful for, and it is one huge thing that allows us to be able to have this race in over 190 countries. What James is looking at right now is the standard waiver that says you're running on your own, basically. It's what when you if you're a parent and your child signs up for sports, you're used to signing these papers. But anyway, it is a standard waiver, so you know, thank you, Race Roster, for providing this safety net. And now, should would you like me to be quiet while you walk through it?
No,
You
No,
done?
I've already went past the donation part. So, but there is one thing that I would like you to explain to our audience, because maybe it's a little different. I'm not sure.
Hmm.
I'm familiar with 501c3, but it says that the International Sibling Society is a 5013C charitable A20 arts and crafts non-profit organization. Is that a special qualification?
Well,
A20?
that's just that's what the IRS has said we are, and what we are. We're a 501c3 nonprofit organization, and our tax code identity is A20, which is arts and culture. So we're an arts and culture nonprofit organization. And I tell you what, you don't have to get worried in that donation area. Did you just like you can just skip and go straight through? But I will tell you, any donations that do come on the site go right back into the scholarship fund. So if you wanted to run a bigger race, like a 5K, 10K, half marathon, or full marathon, and let's just say in your country or around your kitchen table, whatever country you're in, that registration fee that's on the site is a little bit much. That we have scholarships available. So I put the email down here for us here at diplomatic office at issnow.earth. Just
Yes.
email us and we'll send
Yes.
you a code for scholarship. So if that's something that is needed, we don't want any barriers to participation at all. We want 190 countries represented in the race.
Okay. Now, could you repeat that down for the scholarship? Because I do have some people that uh, probably won't run, but they may be willing to contribute to a scholarship. So, how does that process go now?
Well, you could, if you wanted to make a donation, then you could, when you register for the race, if you pick 5K, right next to it, it'll say, I think it's $20 donation. You can make a donation that way. Or if you pick uh,
If they make a donation, do they have to run,
well,
or can they just contribute for a scholarship?
yeah, and these are such good questions. And I ask race roster stuff like this all the time, and they're so well versed with what they do and how they've set things up. You can make a donation that way and it goes straight into the scholarship fund, or if you just sign up for the race that you want to do, a free family fun run is a-okay. Because if you wanted to make a donation, you could make a donation in that area that said you could, right above where it was talking about that we were a tax deductible organization, a
Right.
501c3. You could choose to whatever amount you wanted to put in there if you
So,
wanted.
so now, right now, it tells me that I have a total of 18 members, and it says use this link to friends and family to invite them to join your team.
All
So,
right.
so I can email this link. Well, let's see. Your details have been sent to, of course, my email. You have another there, share the news. It goes, I believe that's Facebook, email, and let's see, what is that? Is that X or Twitter? I believe.
Um, I think you might have gotten to an email that I sent you earlier.
Well, no, I'm still where it says thank you. You have successfully registered to global race. Gives me a confirmation number. And then it says I can visit my participant dashboard. I guess that'll show me the people that are already there.
There is
And then,
all kinds of stuff on that race roster site. You could find other races in your area. And that's what's so neat about the running community is always looking for other races. So there's other races that you could sign up for in your area or wherever. So you're in race rosters world now where you're talking races. They
okay,
even have bike races and things like that in there.
now I see a part down here where it says start receiving donations. A fundraising page has automatically been created for you. click on this link below to start customizing your fundraising page. So is this where I
All
send?
right. Yeah, you know what? You have gotten into a creating your own team page, it sounds like, which is great. Knock yourself out, explore, do whatever. But I tell you what, if you get stuck, reach out to us here at the email right here on the screen, diplomatic office at
Yes.
issnow.earth, and we'll
Okay.
work with you. We'll work it out just as kindly as Race Roster does with me when I have questions for them. So I think that you've got big questions now, James. So I think we should look at that. Uh, Probably most people just want to just sign up for the race and participate, but you can create your own team. You could go in so many different directions.
Okay. I'm looking here. Okay. So yeah, it says view fundraising page. So I'm gonna just see what that looks like since we're here. Okay. So it says make a donation, and it has various amounts up here. Donate to help James E. raise money for the global race uh, fundraising campaign. Um, okay.
This
Uh,
is a feature on Race Roster called peer to peer fundraising. So
okay.
you can activate your peer to peer fundraising if you want to create your own team and have your own um, just fun within your own friends and family or your organization, your business at work, or however you wanted to do that. So it's a techie thing called peer to peer fundraising that you found
Okay.
yourself in, James.
Yeah. And I could, let's see, I can share it on Facebook, I can share it on Twitter, and then it also has a URL for Race Roster. So,
Okay, so your peer to peer fundraising, let's just call it your own peer to peer fundraising page because it sounds like you've got one. And
okay.
you can do something with that or you can not do something with that. That's up to you. But apparently, you're telling me that you can forward that through social media uh, and all of that. You know, I want to thank you, James, because Sports Crib has come on as a sponsor for the Global Race for Sustainability. So if you go to the Race Roster website where James is, that amazing icon that he has up there with the Sports Crib with the satellite on top of the building, look, you're going to see because James is sponsoring one of the sponsors on that page, the Sports Crib. Um, you may want to, if Race Roster is asking you for an image on that area, is it asking for an image?
It's already there. It's not asking me for another image. No.
Oh, because if it does ask for an image, I would put your image, like your logo image, the one that we
Yes.
did today. I would put that up there.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
So it
That
sounds
all makes
like
sense.
we, the International Sibling Society, gave you some different ways to share about the race and share your sponsorship, your logo, and that sort of thing. But you know what? It looks like Race Roster may have a better system. So you could take advantage of both and put,
Yes.
send out whatever they have.
Okay.
More exposure. Why not?
Well, I wanted to make sure that this is something that I think, a lot of us haven't heard about. And, luckily, I connected with you through Matchmaker. But if it hadn't been for that, it would have been totally unknown.
Hmm.
So I think, that uh, for some of the things that we are giving this news, if you want to call it that, these are some of the things that we need to be presenting in our forefront
Hmm.
instead of arguing about some of the petty things that we are now. Uh, because, a lot of these things, if we don't have a sustainable earth, it doesn't make any difference. You know, if we're not going
Exactly.
to be, we have to be here in order to, to put some of these things forward. But now, out of the 17 articles that we've been talking about, could you tell me what's your favorite?
Number 17. With number 17 is partnership for the goals. So, can I build on what you just said before we're
Sure.
going to talk about those goals? We'll talk about all of them. You had just said that this is a good topic that on Matchmaker, it's matchmaker.fm, and it's where podcasters can get together. And we are enjoying podcasting the message and talking with everyone about the global sustainable development. I mean, global race for sustainability, and it is being very well received, and we're enjoying podcasting about it and everything and letting everybody know. But you ask about the sustainable development goals. So yes, my favorite is 17, which is the one about partnerships. So we get to reach out and reach across countries, reach across the states in the country, in partnership for the goals, which is a nice way to work with other people. What's your favorite one?
I will be the first one to admit that I haven't read them per se, but when you start talking about uh, the sustaining the sea,
Yeah.
and like I said, I spent part of my life being a chef, and I love seafood, and just imagining, like not being able to have sustainable seafood. I know, a lot of people uh, may be kind of, they have problems with some of the farming, but I know I like a piece of tilapia. I love a piece of salmon, and some of the other uh, wildlife fish that we are starting to find ways to farm. So anything about the oceans and of course pollution. I'm 77, so I've seen the transition from the huge steel mills and the copper colored rivers that I grew up with, to seeing, blue water. Even before I came out here and saw the ocean, I saw ducks in the Allegheny River, something that I had never seen during my childhood. So anything that's talking about clean water and things of that nature, I'm definitely behind. But there was another question that I wanted to kind of put forth for you. The How did the international, the ISS, how did you happen to partner up with this particular race?
Oh, well, we race roster. I'm telling you, it's been just well received from the get go. Um, this race is going together fast and furiously. Um, I ran a 5K on St. Patrick's Day, and after you run an event, as a runner, you're like ready to do another one. You're like, I'm ready to sign up for another one. That was so much fun. I want to do another one. So that's what I did. St. Patrick's Day is in March. Okay. So I went and I started looking for the races. And I wanted to know, I'm in Reno, so I wanted the big one over the Reno or underneath the Reno Arch. I wanted the big races. And so I found them on race roster, and at the bottom that said interested in a race, contact us. And I put something in, and they contacted me. Someone contacted me out of Canada, and I actually was very interested because we had been talking about organizing a race, and I had seen a race in 20 years ago in Iraq, being organized right in front of our eyes, and how effortlessly that group of runners organized that race in the middle of a conflict zone. and people came out early in the morning and ran and had such a wonderful time running in a very unstable environment. It always impressed me. So we were interested in organizing a race ourselves. But anyway, when Race Roster got in touch with us, they were just I was impressed. Honestly, I've never had a tech platform reach out like that and call. And we were interested too. And we just started conversation, and we went from 38 countries to 190 something countries like that. And every day, like today, I was on the phone with them. I learned new things from them. So, we couldn't do it without Race Roster.
Okay, now for people that have just watched me sign up, as you said, now if they have any problems or any questions, they can contact now. Diplomat,
ISS
is
now,
that
diplomatic office at issnow.earth.
okay? And now are these uh, well, let's see. I'll put it like this: is there a brick and mortar place where we can write or get in touch with you, or uh, how people can find out more about your organization?
Well, we're in Reno, so we're we're online mostly is the best
Okay,
way to get in touch with us. Yeah,
okay,
but there is addresses that you can. We're in Reno. Put it that way.
okay. Now I know that there's been a lot of building and whatnot in Reno, and there's a very helpful community there, especially as I was just talking to my last guest, the boxing community, the sports
Mhm.
community. Have you reached out to any of them, or are any of them participating in your race that you know of?
Yeah, running groups are fantastic. So running groups are fantastic, and we are really reaching out to the podcasting community, and it's keeping us very busy. But podcasters know so many people, so many other. It's just between the running groups and the podcasters, that's kept us really busy this year. So
Yeah, yeah. I mean, quite naturally, I would like to get a few gyms involved, and maybe some other, things of that sort. Um, and like I said, it's very um, interesting to me how you haven't even generated more people, especially from the sports world, the young adults, people that I mean, this is a major topic. If you think that you want to understand global warming, uh, it's hotter in Pittsburgh than it is in San Diego. Okay, you know, just an
yeah,
example.
yeah,
So,
we're yeah
so,
crazy.
I could have stayed in Pittsburgh, right? No,
Yeah,
but then I'd have missed the ocean. So, but
yeah.
yes. So once again, I'm very glad that we were able to make this connection tonight, and I was actually able to take people and walk them through this particular uh, uh, procedure. And now I think you told me that the race is over on the 20th.
Yes. So we're very much in the finish for this year. Yes. We're finishing up before the Olympics. So
Okay,
the 20th is the last day that yeah. And we're registering until the very last minute. So like all
okay,
races do, you can pretty much register right there up until the end at most races.
okay.
Then there is
So
this group that sells out. I've never have understood that. Why some of these races will say that they've sold out. I would do as much as you have as many participants as possible, but I it's been explained to me.
Yeah.
But you can register up until the end.
Okay. Well, now since the races are over on the 20th, we'd like to have you back on the 16th to talk about how many countries we have, how many whatever updates we can get
Yes.
just days before the race.
Yes.
How does
And
that sound to you?
well, sure. I love it. It's a lot of fun coming on your show. Now, it's a little bit premature, but I mentioned it in the last podcast I was on a few minutes ago, or an hour or so ago. But I want to keep it under wraps just a little bit. But I believe that we are going to have the best wrap up of this race. I think it might involve a round the world trip to all the different countries that are participating. And I can't say anymore, so don't pull it out of me.
All right.
The anticipation. I'll have to tell you about that next time I come on. How's that?
Okay, that sounds good. We'll leave a little tension in there, a little preview of things to come, as they say. So, but I want to thank you for coming on the show tonight. And as always, we want you to know that we are definitely here at the Sports Crib, 100% behind you. And we look forward to registering some people, making our contribution to the race. And we thank you as always for your time. Why
Well,
don't you want to give us any final thoughts or
I want
anything
to
that you
thank you,
think?
James, for having me on and us going over this, how to register. Because after this podcast, I had talked with our team in Kenya this morning. They're on the other side of the world. I said, in 12 hours, I'm going to forward you a link to a podcast that we're going to do where we're going to go over how to register. Because in Kenya, they're lined up their races, they're excited about it, but they're just now getting people registered on the site. So they're going to be looking at your video, James, or your podcast, your what you've done here tonight, and they're going to follow your directions in Kenya and get everybody on board from what you've just done. So thank you for walking through the registration process tonight.
You're very welcome, and as you can see, it's something that it's very easy to follow. So we urge everyone to line up. Get a family run in if you can't do anything else. Get a few sponsors going, or whatever you have to do, but make sure that we have some type of participation. So
Yeah.
we're looking forward to the Sports Crib team making a contribution. And as I said, we look forward to you coming back on the 16th and telling us about the progress. So why don't you give us your final thoughts? Make sure we know where everybody can find you. And, anything that you think that our listeners need to know. And as you said, they can come back and follow our podcast. We'll have our link up. We'll be on YouTube. We'll be on LinkedIn and Facebook. So you can go to all three of those platforms and just follow me. That's all I can say. So the floor is yours.
Well, we just appreciate you. We appreciate all you're doing.
All right. Well, we thank you very much. Glad that we could take a few moments out of your Friday evening. I hope you enjoy your weekend. And thank you so much for participating here with the Diamond Factory.
Absolutely. All right. Well, you have a good evening.
You too. Thank you so much. And see you in 10 days or something like that. Yeah, 11 days.
Okay.
Have a good night.
Mhm.
Talk to you soon. Uh, yeah, so we just had two great guests on as we talked to Cynthia and about her project. We also talked to Dr. Moresco about the importance of having the right people around you. I can't stress that enough. Make sure that you have the right people around you. Sometimes that means that you have to leave some of your friends, some of your childhood buddies. Sometimes you have to uh, leave them behind, so to speak. As uh, the good book says, when I became a man, I put away childish things. So have a great night tonight. Glad you could join us here on the Diamond Factory, and we look forward to talking to you again next week. Have a good one, everyone.